I want to bring in someone now who knows a lot about prosecuting a criminal case. Adam Levy served 2 terms as New York State District Attorney. He's going to be one of 3 judges on the new show Tribunal Justice, which premieres on Amazon Freevee on June the 9th. Okay, Judge. I'm going to leave it to you since the defense attorneys didn't do much. Why wouldn't they, right out of the gate on cross, even though it's a DNA expert, why wouldn't they say, would it be unusual for a mother to have a hair located near her 7-year-old child and his jammies and his bed? Why wouldn't they do that?
You know, I couldn't think of a reason why they wouldn't do it, because clearly it's their first opportunity to let the jury know that there are alternative explanations as to why that DNA and the hair could have gotten on the duct tape. Now, just because they didn't do it during cross does not mean that they will not mention it over and over again on their summation. That's oftentimes where the defense is going to try to tie all these loose ends and try to establish that reasonable doubt is on summation, and that may be their strategy. However, they could have done both, and I don't know why they didn't. So I'm still waiting for a lot more of these big walloping days, because we're in the final stretch, right? I think we're looking at possibly it wrapping up the prosecution's case, wrapping up this week. So what do you think her best defense is going to be at this point? I mean, we've heard a lot about Chad. We've heard a lot about Alex looking terribly, terribly guilty. But we have not had that super nexus that brings her into the conspiracy and then has her committing some act in furtherance of the conspiracy. What do you think her best defense is? Well, I completely disagree with those people that would suggest that that it's Alex that put her up to this and she was afraid of Alex. I believe Alex was dead already as of December of 2019. And the bodies were found in June of 2020, my recollection. And so she couldn't be afraid of Alex in June of 2020 because he's already dead. And if he was the one who she believed murdered the children, she would have said something about Alex. She didn't. So in my opinion, it doesn't do any good to point the finger at Alex. That's going to fall flat. The only real defense that I think she has would be to say that she was afraid of Chad, of her husband, that he was the one who was involved, that she was afraid of him killing her. That would seem to be the only thing that I would think would, could ensure, that she walks free if the jury bought it. The problem is there are photographs and videos of them together. There's no getting married in Hawaii. There's no way, in my opinion, that a jury is going to, who has already seen these photographs, is going to believe that Lori Vallow was legitimately afraid of her husband. I just don't, because they're dancing on the beach and they're telling the rental agencies in Hawaii, we don't have kids, we don't have any, we're empty nesters, and they were in complete bliss. So I think you're right about that. And not one single witness has come forward to say that Lori told them that she was afraid of Chad at any time whatsoever. Never once. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.